I haven't let it get in the way at all.
She was engaged to Dale when she was diagnosed. Soon they were married. Now they have a son and hope to have more children. So Leanne is managing family life, her job as a pharmacy technician, and her diabetes. Fortunately, checking her blood glucose doesn't take much time.
Well, there are several blood glucose meters to choose from now, and I think it's usually a matter of personal preference. Most of the meters are very small, very accurate, count down in 5 seconds to determine the blood sugar, and require a very small amount of blood.
That's a lot different from how things used to be. Lynn has been managing diabetes for 62 years. When he was young, checking his sugar was a much bigger challenge.
In the old days, you tested your urine, 10 drops of water, 5 drops of urine, with a little pill that you would drop in there in the test tube. And what you wanted was a green or a blue color. You didn't want orange. Orange showed that your blood sugar was high. That was difficult to do. To have blood glucose monitors has been a miraculous change.
Lynn has seen a lot of changes through the decades, like the old barn he helped renovate. Now it has been transformed into an architectural showcase. Diabetes care has come a long way as well.
Hey, Leanne. How are you doing?
One of the latest developments patients can consider using is a continuous glucose monitor.
Continuous glucose monitors are a way for the patient and the doctor to tell what the blood sugar is on a continuous basis for 24 hours. So there's a small sensor that's placed underneath the fat of the abdomen, which actually senses the blood sugar for that length of time.
I think that's going to ultimately transform how we manage patients with diabetes, because we will have more information to go by.
Which device you'll use to check your blood sugar and how often are decisions to be made with the guidance of your doctor. The doctor's office is also where you get a test called a hemoglobin A1C about every 3 months.
It's really the patient's diabetes report card so that we can see what the blood sugar has been running for the last 90 days. It measures how much sugar is attached to the red blood cell.
The American Association of Clinical Endocrinologists recommends an A1C of 6.5 or less for most people. While this measurement adds an important dimension to your diabetes care, it's not a substitute for daily monitoring.
The hemoglobin A1C just measured the 3-month period average. Doesn't tell you where during the day that your problem is occurring. You need the daily information in order to tell you where to make the changes.
Controlling your blood glucose levels starts with monitoring. What you eat and drink and how much exercise you get have an impact too. But for everyone with type 1 diabetes, insulin is an essential part of the picture. If you have type 1 diabetes, you need to replace the insulin your body cannot make to keep your blood glucose levels under control. So patients learn how to get the insulin they need, either through multiple daily injections or by using an insulin pump. The treatment is designed to imitate the normal production of insulin.
Nature intended that insulin be secreted in a small amount continuously, 24 hours a day, weekends and holidays, never takes a vacation. There's always some insulin in the bloodstream, and that basal insulin that's going in all the time. And then the body superimposes on that a burst of insulin every time you consume food. We call that bolus insulin.
Nowadays, there are different kinds of insulin medications, long-acting and fast-acting. That gives you and your doctor more options for treatment and lifestyle.
These new insulins we've got are just miraculous. They have just done wonders about improving the way we can manage diabetic patients.
Will Cross has been managing his diabetes long enough to experience these dramatic changes firsthand.
When I was diagnosed 30 years ago, the day-to-day management was not even comparable to today's.
There have been advances not only in the medicine, but in the way it's taken. In the past, Will's only choice was a syringe.
Okay, press the button.
Today, he wears a pump that he programs to deliver his insulin throughout the day. But he carries an insulin pen when he's on a climb.
On an expedition, I take both because, let's face it, a pump is a machine, it can break. And if that breaks and I'm in the middle of Nepal, it's not like I can just order another one, So I've always got the pen as a backup.
Because he travels to exotic locations, Will also has to take special precautions with the medication itself.
I'll go through the embassies, leave stuff there. Maybe take prescriptions in the native language of the land that I'm going to.
You might not need such an elaborate plan when you travel, but you do need to make sure you have your prescription with you and can store your insulin properly.
Traveling with medication is pretty easy these days. Most airlines will allow patients to take their insulin, their strips, their blood sugar meters, their syringes on the plane. And airlines are also very familiar with insulin pumps, so you can certainly wear your insulin pump on a plane if that's needed.
Whether you're traveling or at home, it's always important to take insulin as directed by the doctor. And be sure your physician knows about other medications you take, including herbal preparations and medicine you buy without a prescription. Healthy eating is a powerful part of managing diabetes. That means a well-balanced diet with plenty of whole grains, vegetables, non-fat dairy products, beans, lean meats, poultry, fish, and fruit. And keeping track of which foods and drinks are carbohydrates containing sugar. Clayton has been living with type 1 diabetes for more than 25 years, so he and his wife know what should be on the table.
My children, they're going to eat vegetables and fresh fruits and grilled fish and chicken, and that's just the way we live.
The nutritional guidelines are really the same as most healthy people would need, although the carbohydrate counting is specific to diabetes.
This is telling you that one packet contains a total of 7 grams of carbohydrates.
As with so many aspects of managing diabetes, healthy eating is about awareness. So people with diabetes often work with a nutritionist.
When looking at a food label, the first thing you're going to want to determine is how many servings you're going to have of that food. If you're going to have 1 serving, the food label is already going to tell you how many total carbs that the food contains. If you would like to have 2 servings of a specific food, you would take 2 and multiply it by the total grams of carbohydrates in the serving size.
Whether or not you can drink alcohol is also an important issue. Talk with your doctor about what your limits should be. Another good conversation to have with a healthcare professional is what to do when you cannot choose your food. That happens to Skylar every day at school.
I eat the school's lunch and I just eat what they give me, and I try to count my calorie points and put as much insulin in me as I need for that one meal.
Making healthy food choices requires some planning. The support of family and friends can make a big difference, but they get a reward as well.
Despite the challenges of living with somebody with diabetes, there are also things that benefit all of us. For example, we are more aware of the types of foods that we eat, and we make healthier choices.
That's a common theme you'll hear from many people living with diabetes. Making healthy food choices and limiting alcohol and sweets is good for the patients themselves and for their families.
And we don't even talk about diet, diabetic diet anymore. What we talk about is good, healthy, nutritional planning for the whole family. And indeed, we see the family often becomes healthier if they follow that and make this a policy for the whole family.
The whole family can also benefit from regular exercise.